Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Uncharted 3 Brutal Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 2, Greatness from Small Beginnings. This is the second of the tutorial missions at the beginning of this game. The first one, of course, taught us how to fight. This one is going to show us what we do when we're stealthing and when we're platforming. The stealth aspect of it is only slight, and I don't think it's going to affect you too much in the game, but the platforming is a valid lesson to understand the subtle differences and nuances that changed between Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3. And the differences are very noticeable. Coming back, having played Uncharted 4, I can see a lot of areas in which the games have improved, and a lot of areas where they've shifted. This first objective is to go up to the Sir Francis Drake piece in the museum and press triangle, and then it's going to introduce us to Stalking Sully, who is a character I'm sure you're more than familiar with. But I always liked this level because I thought it was an interesting choice of pacing, and it gives you an insight into these characters' backgrounds, which I think once you start learning different bits about a character, regardless of how good the writing or the actual development of them is, you always feel like you have a greater connection with them, so I think it's a clever storytelling device. But right now, it's showing you how to go between cover, which is incredibly useful. I was fighting this at first as well, because on The Devil's Third, which was the last action game I've been playing, you came off of cover by moving away from it, which can be quite dynamic at times, but on this game you've got to press a button to disengage, it seems. So, two different systems, and it definitely took some getting used to again, because I've been playing that game, which is not great, and then there's this game which works so well. It's a night and day contrast, and my aim as well to begin with on the next two chapters is going to be astronomically bad. But we'll get there, guys. I get my fingers back, and after that I should be fine. But those first couple of fights are hilarious to watch, in the worst possible way though, because I do not look like I know how to play shooting games. But keep on following Sully round into this back alley and press triangle on this door. It's going to trigger us to go through to the next section, which is in the courtyard. And we're going to be doing more climbing. So the climbing on Uncharted 3 is good, but it's still not as good as 4, obviously, because 4 came along and introduced a lot of things that I think are really, really good. I had issues at certain moments getting Nathan to grab things that I wanted, to jump to things that I needed. Right there, that's all on me, that's a wrong placement, so that's not a mistake of the game. It's just certain detections don't trigger us as smoothly and as consistently as they do in the later game. And all credit goes to, Uncharted 4. It really did make the climbing, I think, the best it's ever been, in my opinion. It really added just a very high level of understanding that this game has, but it doesn't have it to that sheer level of quality. And I'm going to be doing a lot of analysis in this commentary for this particular walkthrough, because I've come away from Uncharted 4 with an interesting opinion of the game, which is not shared by everybody, and I used to think that this was my favourite Uncharted, so there's going to be a lot of looking into, the paradigms that they established with this series and how they shifted them and tweaked them and adjusted them between the games. One thing that I find really strange in this game when I come back to play it is how different the shooting is and the hit registration on the enemies. In Uncharted 2, this is me having problems with detection here, and it's because I wasn't high enough. You have to climb up before you can jump across. That is an instance where I thought the game wasn't working too great, but that was 100% me. So be aware, guys, if you're having trouble covering distance, maybe you have to think extra elevation, and a lot of the times that is the answer for some of it. Every so often the game is just a little finicky, but a lot of the times it could potentially be your positioning, so it's just a case of experimentation and you'll get there. But the shooting and the hit registration. Having done Brutal on Uncharted 2, I got used to how the gunplay worked in that game, and there was a consistency to it. When you shot people on the second game, you got a very specific stun animation or a very specific flinch. In this game it's different, and it doesn't feel as good to me, even though I thought they'd improved the shooting in this particular one. And another thing that I find really strange is the accuracy on the aimer. They've given you this kind of shaded interior to the reticle, which tells you that it can be anywhere in that area that the bullet will go. But I find moments where I have my reticle on people's heads and it misses. And it's such a strange disconnect when you play, and it leads me to thinking that the shooting in this game is a lot more stylized than it was in 2, in very specific ways that are kind of throwing me off. But I'm assuming once I get used to them again, I'll not even notice this. But I really noticed it yesterday when I was recording, and I'm wondering if anybody else has spotted that difference too. But thank you for watching. Hopefully the rest of the walkthrough will help. You probably don't need much on these 2 levels, but coming up is going to be some tricky stuff, so look forward to that. And you take care now.